All right, so welcome everybody. We're going to be talking about detoxification. I will be your facilitator today. I'm a plant-focused community nutritionist and also a health and wellness coach. And I'm really excited to be here with you guys on RSS, talking about detoxification today. So feel free to ask questions. You can certainly interrupt. You can certainly put it in the chat as well and let me know whatever questions you have. And in terms of the chats, Margie will look through the chat and let me know when there is a question, and I'll, or if I see it, I'll just go ahead and respond as well. All right, so the information I'm providing today is all science-based. And the first thing we'll talk about is what is detoxification. So let's jump right in. So when we talk about detoxification, we're talking about it in 3 different phases, and it's the process by which the body rids itself of harmful toxins, all right? And so we're getting a lot of toxins from the environment, we're getting it from the foods that we're eating. Some of the foods may have pesticides sprayed on them, and so this is some of the places that we're getting toxins from. Just living in the world, you're going to, have toxins come into the body. And so it's really important for us to help the body a bit. The body does have organs that detoxifies itself. That's the liver, and also the kidney helps with that as well. But we want to sort of be proactive. And so that's really the main reason why we're having this conversation, is so that we can do some things as well. We can help ourselves. So there are 3 phases in detoxification process. And the goal is to, again, remove these harmful toxins from the body as best we can. And so the first phase is what's called activation, and I'll explain what they all are. But the first phase is called the activation phase. Phase 2 is neutralization, and 3 is the elimination. So let's now go over what those are. So when we talk about phase 1, which is the activation phase, basically what's happening is these enzymes are produced to activate toxins. And that's done through natural chemicals, which are things like phytonutrients, which we find in food. And phytonutrients are predominantly and pretty much found in plant-based foods. And so this is where we're getting the activation is able to happen because we're ingesting these natural chemicals, okay? And when we're doing this in this activation phase, we also want to consider avoiding certain things, okay? We want to minimize, if we can, medications that are, obviously we have, some folks may have to take medication and it's necessary. I'm not telling you here today that you should no longer take that medication. What I'm saying is to minimize, if possible, try to minimize, whether it's over-the-counter medications or something that, sometimes you've gotten better and you may not need that medication anymore. Sometimes people have prescriptions for headaches or things that maybe they may be able to get off of as a result of maybe changing lifestyle habits, right? So that's one of the main things that I think causes, or that we know causes, the buildup of toxins in the body, comes from that. Alcohol as well. And I mentioned before, pesticides, and of course, things like artificial coloring that is found in a lot of processed foods. All right. And so what we're trying to do here in the activation phase is to enjoy foods that are rich in phytonutrients. And these are the natural chemicals that are going to help to fight that. Now, phase 2 is neutralization. And so the toxins are converted to being water soluble and are less toxic. And so because it's water soluble, it can then flow out of the body, right? That's really what we're trying to do when we are having those chemicals, those phytonutrients, those chemicals, plant chemicals, really, that is going to help to convert these chemicals and toxins that we have in our body to become less toxic. All right, so they are water soluble, they're less toxic, and so they're able to also be removed from the body. Now, antioxidant, and I'm just going to ask a question really quickly. Has anybody here heard of antioxidants? Anyone here familiar with antioxidants?
Yeah, I am, Helene.
Okay, Helene, care to share what you know about it?
Not really. I'd rather listen to you.
Okay, no problem.
So
we'll get into that. We'll get into it. Just wanted to check the pulse here. So yeah, I mean, the antioxidants will play a huge role. These are antioxidants are found in foods, plant-based foods, and these are the foods that we want to enjoy more of, right? And that's where those phytonutrients are coming from, all right? The plant chemicals that are going to help with that. And so when we talk about eating fruits and vegetables, and this is all about plant-based eating, right? This is what the majority of this is all about. Antioxidants, if you're eating a plant-based diet, you're going to be eating a lot of antioxidants as a result. And the antioxidants are vitamin C, basically coming from a lot of these fruits and vegetables. Now, phase 3 is the elimination phase, and this is when we have the toxins being eliminated or excreted from our bodies, and it comes out in these two forms through our feces or urine. And what we really need to do that is the fiber and a lot of water. So it's really important. And I have my water here today, as I usually do at my desk, enjoying water, and even things like coconut water, those things help. But I tend to just steer folks to water because, and most people will say, how much water do I need every day? And I think it's a little bit of a controversy that people are just not sure. So my fail-safe response is always, if you take your weight and you divide it by 2, that's how much you generally would need if you're not eating any fruits and vegetables, which also has water, in ounces. So if you're 120 pounds, divide that by 2, that's 60 ounces. And then that's basically how much you'd need, right? And so you'd need 6 10-ounce glasses in order to get that. This is a 16 ounce glass and I'm drinking, so I would need a few of these a day. All right, do I get that? No. Are we all getting enough water? Maybe not, because a lot of people tend to be dehydrated, but water really helps to flush toxins out of the body. Fiber as well, right? And fiber we're getting from the foods. And high fiber foods are things like the dark leafy greens, all the cruciferous vegetables as well. So cauliflower, cabbage. Some foods I would say have higher fiber content than others, like going and getting a carrot, for example, and just eating that carrot just the way that it is, you're getting a lot of fiber, and fruits as well. So enjoying high fiber rich foods and enjoying lots of water will help to get rid of these toxins that are in our body. Now, let's talk about some misconceptions, because there always exist misconceptions when it comes to detoxification. Now, people say that you can use pills. They say that the body cannot do it without help from drugs. They also believe that I can eat what I want and detox afterwards. So when it comes to using pills, what I always tell folks is that when you're eating or taking these pills to help with detoxing your body, you're now adding another medication, right, that the body now has to detox, right? So that pill might induce your body to go to the bathroom. Okay, great, that's wonderful. But you could do that with water, which is natural. You could do that with fiber, enjoying more fiber. And there are certain teas like dandelion teas, fennel teas. These are some of the teas that I tend to suggest to folks if they're having a hard time going to the bathroom. You don't need pills to help you to excrete what your body is producing, right? The body naturally does it. And so these pills, that's a misconception, that we do not need these pills to actually, unless you're having a medical condition and your doctor prescribes it, in which case that's a different story, then you do that, right? But on a normal, with a normal person, or not a normal person, but a typical, if a person decides like, okay, I just need to detox, I need to go get whatever pills you see advertised, that's not the way to go, is what I'm trying to say. And a lot of people believe that the body cannot actually detox itself without drugs, and that's false, right? The body can do it just the way we just explained, and I'll go into a little bit more detail, but the body can actually detox itself through that process that I just explained, right? And so it's really with the proper kinds of foods that you're having. Some people may consider doing like a deep cleaning by doing things like colonics, and that's not something that I could tell you all to go ahead and do. But I know folks who've done it. I myself have done it, and that's one way to also help the body. Is it something that you want to do consistently? Maybe it's a once a year thing, right? And again, that's something that you'd have to decide on doing on your own, right? Or with your doctor's advice. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up as we're talking about misconceptions, because I do know people who also do colonics every month, right? And that's their preference. That's their choice. Is that really necessary? I believe that the body can clean and heal itself if we're giving it the right fuel, right? Just like the cars that drive around. If you put the right fuel in, it's going to go and it's going to function properly, right? I can eat what I want and then detox after. So a lot of people will just like, binge and then, just say, all right, I'm going to do a detox or what have you. I don't recommend that, because what's happening is the body still has to deal with all that food that you're ingesting. So if you're eating whatever you want to eat and you're eating, all these different things, and then you're going to go detox, remember that the bloodstream, the body is built so that it's extracting from the foods that you're eating and bringing those things into your bloodstream, right? It's going to get rid of what it doesn't want, but it's still going to do that process. So all that stuff will still end up in your body, right? It's not just going to pass through. Some of it will just pass through, but eating what you want and then detoxing after is not the way to go. All right. I highly discourage that. Excuse me. All right, let's keep going here. Any questions so far? Nope. All right, let's keep going. So the detoxing with pills, and again, I spoke about it before, but let's just go through it with the slides here. Not recommended, and here's why. You're adding more drugs, as I said before, to the body for the liver to detox, and I kind of went over that in detail a bit already. All right, so that is the reason why we do not want to do that. It's not recommended. Okay. And 6 ways. So let's now talk about majority of why you came on. So how do we actually detox the body, right? And we talked about it already in
Can I
terms of.
ask a question? Are we
Yes.
supposed to be able to see some slides? Because we're not seeing any. I'm seeing a
sharing
big
my
white screen, and on the left of my screen, I see a very pretty design of a radish, a banana, and a beet.
Are you seeing 6 ways to detox right now?
No.
So is that the case for everybody else?
There's only one other person, right? Renee, are you seeing them?
Margie was just on, and there was someone else.
Yeah, I see it.
Oh, okay.
What do you see now?
Yeah.
You see misconceptions?
No, I see banana. No.
Yeah, that's the banana, a radish,
Yeah, banana and the
beets.
radish and the beets.
Right.
Do you see the words?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Just
No.
the pictures, and it's very narrow.
Yeah,
And
it's on the side. It's on the side.
Okay. Did you see? Was it like that the whole time?
Yes.
Yeah, you have to readjust your screen on that.
Okay. So hold on a second, because I don't know what.
Now we see you.
Yeah, I unshared my screen. Let me see if I can extract that presentation and present it in a different way. Hang on. Present, share. All right. So I'm going to try it this way and see if you all are able to see this. Okay, Margie's still here. So can you see that?
Yes, it says detoxification, and it's my whole screen.
Yeah, it's better now. It's better.
Oh, all right. Sorry about that.
Excellent. That's
I
okay.
had no clue. Oh man, I should have checked with Margie to see if she was able to see everything.
No, it's okay, because what you were saying, we were listening to, so that I wouldn't worry.
All
but now
right.
you're going into an area I don't know as well, so I do want to see.
Yeah, of course. So these were the slides that you missed. Elimination, the misconceptions, right? So let me try and bring this down a little bit. All right, so now you can see that, right?
Yes,
And so now we're talking about the 6 ways. All right, so you can see the 6 ways, right?
we can. Yes,
Perfect. All right,
perfectly.
so 6 ways to detox. So here are the 6 different ways that we can detox. Now we're talking about physical activity when we say exercise, right? And when we're exercising, a lot of folks may want to know, well, how much exercise is enough? And what basically has come out of the government basically makes some of these, share this information with us and tells us what is like a standard, right? And so that number is basically 150 minutes per week. And so what they break that down to is basically 30 minutes, 5 days a week. Okay. And so if you're looking at it like that, then doing 30 minutes, 5 days a week would fill that, would take care of that. What I tell folks is if you can push yourself and go to 45 minutes, then that would actually be, because that's the minimum, right? They're giving you 30 minutes, 5 days a week. That is the absolute minimum. But if you can push and do 45 minutes, then that would be really beneficial. And that comes into play, especially for someone who might want to lose a couple of pounds. All right. And even if you do 45 minutes, unless it's somewhat vigorous, you're not going to lose any weight, right? But the reason why exercising is great is because the body is actually doing a lot of, is doing the same thing, detoxing itself through the sweat, our sweat glands, right? All of these things are actually going out of our body when we get outside, especially, and we're able to excrete that through our sweating, all right? And so that's one of the main reasons why detoxification with exercising is very good and really crucial to our health. Not only is exercise good for detoxification, but I'm pretty sure that you all are probably well aware by now that, doing any type of physical activity helps with brain health, help with our, just our mental well-being, and of course, help with our overall health in terms of, preventing lots of, health concerns and lots of the health, I want to say diseases that people turn up with. Exercise can help with those. All right. Now, number 2 is avoiding or eliminating alcohol. So alcohol is not something that we need in our body. It's not something that is going to say, okay, if I drink, I know there's a lot of people who say, or a lot of doctors who have said, drink a glass of wine a day, or, it's not recommended to drink any alcohol. And actually recent studies have found that alcohol actually has been implicated in a lot of cancers. And so I've been telling everybody I know to try to just avoid it altogether if you can. Socially, if you need to, women, they say two glasses. I think women 1, men 2 glasses, right? But you want to be mindful of that. And I don't think I'm speaking to a crowd that's, drinking a lot, but I just want to kind of put it out there, especially if you have family and friends. It's something that you can share, information you can share with them. All right. But alcohol is not something that we actually need in our body, because then the organs, our detoxification organs, have to eliminate them from our bodies. And especially if you're having it at night as well, it can actually prevent your sleep, right? It can also stop you from having a good night's sleep. And speaking of sleep, sleep is actually the next one on our list. And sleeping, what happens when we sleep is the body is, we have a lymphatic system, right? Lymphatic system is a system that helps to help as well getting, cleaning the body as well, right? Our lymph system, or if you've ever heard of lymph nodes, or that's where some of our elimination is occurring. And so when we're sleeping, there's actually what's called a glymphatic system with a G instead of L, and that's what the brain does. And so when we're sleeping, it's actually eliminating through that glymphatic system, which is something new that folks have been doctors have been talking about that glymphatic system. And so when we get a good night's sleep, which has been said to be 8 to 10 hours, those 8 to 10 hours, good quality sleep, which means you're not waking up every 2 hours, you're able to sleep straight through, or at least for 6 hours straight. That's a proper night's sleep, right? For some people might feel like they need less, but it's highly recommended to get about 8 hours. Now, in today's world that we're living in, I know a lot of people are getting 5, 6, for, even especially for people who are trying to build businesses or just having issues with falling asleep because they're ill. It's just a lot of different things that I'm hearing about people having issues with sleep. Also because of mental health, a lot of mental health concerns like anxiety. Anxiety and depression has been more prevalent nowadays because of COVID and just a lot that's been going on, you know, in the world. A lot of people have been struggling with sleep, but sleep is really pivotal because the body is healing itself when it's sleeping. All right. And so it's important for us to be in bed by a certain time as well, because between certain hours, and I believe it's 11 to 1 a.m. or 1 to 3, I got to go back and double check, but the liver is basically doing a lot of its work during those hours. And so it's really pivotal to be sleeping, especially during that time frame. All right. And so sleep is really important, very much pivotal. That's when your system is basically backing up all the information that happened throughout the day. And I think that's why we have these dreams, because we're going through what happened today, what didn't happen today. And so you end up dreaming because the brain is trying to back up. It's like a hardware. It's like a computer, you know, a hard drive rather. It's basically just trying to catalog things and organize things for us. And so that sleep is really, really key. All right. We've talked about drinking more water. That's like one of the huge ones that is people underestimate. You drink more water, it's detoxing the body, but also it's preventing sometimes these headaches that we get. That's really from dehydration. And so I always want to encourage you to enjoy as much water as you can. And I tell folks to, if they want to have a schedule, like every hour, they drink a glass, right? And if you start in the morning, before you get to 6 p.m., you're already done. If you're doing 6 glasses of, let's say, 8-ounce glasses or what have you, that should be good enough, right? And if you're drinking tea without sugar, that will count towards it as well. Tea that are herbal teas, not caffeine, all right? So beverages without caffeine and sugar, those would count towards, for the most part, will count towards your water, all right? So drink a lot of water, try to get it in before a certain time so you're not waking up every hour at night to go use the bathroom. And so that's one of the great ways to detox and flush the system. Number 5 is reducing the sugar and processed food intake in our body. So clearly the less processed foods and sugar that we ingest, the less the body has to work to eliminate it. All right. And so sugar is a big culprit. You know, people used to eat, I think, 20 pounds of sugar a year. Now it's up to, I think, almost 200 pounds of sugar per person every year. So the number is really high because sugar is found in almost everything, right? So once you're eating processed foods, you know, I always tell folks, read the label, look to see if there's any sugar in there. 9 times out of 10, even in things that are salty, they're still putting sugar. And it's like, why, right? So we want to eliminate or reduce the amount of processed foods that we're taking in, making things at home. We had our last meetup that we had on the support group here at RSS. We talked about making our own desserts. And if you haven't seen that, I think it might be on YouTube. I'm not sure. But we talked about making your own desserts. That's one of the culprit that gets a lot of people are the desserts, the sugary donuts. And so we talked about, you know, using plant-based items to make those, enjoying those sweet goodies that are going to be more beneficial for the body because you're using things like dates, which is the whole food. All right. So we want to reduce that. Any questions? I'm going to leave the last, hopefully at least 20 minutes for our conversational piece where we can talk through some stuff. So let's do the last one on the list here. Eat foods high in antioxidants. So we mentioned before that those foods that are plant-based foods, lots of citrus fruits, but also things that have vitamin C like peppers and pretty much if you're eating vegetables, lots of vegetables and fruits, you're going to get a high antioxidant diet. All right. And so I want to encourage you to continue to do that because that's going to actually fight the antioxidants, fight the toxins. That's basically what it does. It goes in there and it sees the toxins and it just knocks it out. All right. And so that's what we want to do. We want to clear the system of the toxins and antioxidants are the best way to do that. And all of this really we're talking about is reducing the inflammation in our bodies. So all these different things that we've mentioned, this is how you reduce inflammation. And if you've heard this statement before that inflammation causes disease in the body, then you've heard it right. That's actually a true statement. And so these things we're talking about is detoxing and basically reducing the inflammation in our bodies. And inflammation is implicated in, if you look it up, lots of different diseases, pretty much almost all right? And so we want to really focus on doing these 6 things if we can on a daily basis. Just try and build a habit around these 6 habits, all right? So exercising daily, trying to avoid alcohol, getting a proper night's sleep, drinking our water every single day, reducing the sugar and the processed foods that we're intaking, and then of course, eating a high antioxidant rich diet, all right? Which is basically these things that you're seeing on the screen, the beets and the carrots and things like that. So now we'll just talk quickly about the 7 benefits of detoxification. Obviously, overall, your health is just going to be better, but let's just narrow in on 7 of them, right? 7 of the benefits that I wanted to focus in on. First benefit that I love is energy. You're going to have an increased amount of energy. I know for myself, 7 years ago when I went plant-based, that was probably the most I want to say impactful thing that occurred. Like the thing that I noticed the most was that I just had energy beyond. I'm a person, I don't drink coffee. I don't drink Red Bulls or any of those energy drinks. I just don't need it, right? And so being on a plant-based diet, eating this way and taking care of our bodies and exercising and all the 6 things I just mentioned, detoxing, we're going to have more energy as a result of that. And so I want to encourage you to consider this. If you're someone who's maybe feeling low in energy a lot, maybe consider those things that we talked about. All right. Number 2 is increase mental clarity. And again, a lot of this comes from just our blood flow. Okay. When we're eating certain foods, our blood is flowing better. It's flowing different. We don't have all of these plaques in our arteries and that's all causing the slowing, right? The slowing down the flow of our blood. And so when we have this, because the brain needs blood, and a lot of people don't think about that, but the brain needs blood. And so we're going to get mental clarity. We're just going to feel overall better in our mind, our mental space. All right. And if you're looking at the screen, you're seeing this liver on the top left or top right, depending on where your position. For me, it's left, maybe right for you. But you see this liver, it's a picture of a liver and it's crying, it's damaged because this is the organ that's really doing majority of the work. And so if you're doing a detoxing, if you're taking care of your body in this way, doing the things that I just mentioned, you're going to actually support your liver. Right. And so the function of your liver will be a lot better. And our organs, we really have to protect our organs, our kidneys, our liver, our heart. It's really the goal for longevity, right? Once these organs start to, look like the one up here where it's in tears and it has Band-Aids all over it, it's a lot harder, right? For us to have quality lives. And so the goal is to have quality lives, to live a long life. And so if we can help our liver, why not? Right? So that's our benefit number 3 is it's going to support our liver. Number 4, it's going to strengthen our immunity. So we've been talking about the immune system over the last few years a lot because of COVID, right? Our immune system is really the thing that, we need to keep us fighting, right? We need to be strong enough to fight off flu season, cold season, whatever season we're in. We don't want to be, weak and fragile because of our, weakened immune system, right? And so one of the things that detoxification does when we're enjoying these plant-based foods is it's going to strengthen our immune system, okay? And that's huge, all right? So I know that everybody's probably very happy about that one. I mean, I'm happy about all of them, but immune system is really the thing that, we need to help to fight for us because It's very easy to be strong, right? But when something comes up against you, that's when you really need to see what your body's made of. Okay. That's when you say, okay, what am I really made of? If this thing were to attack me, can I really fight it? All right. And the next one is, love this one, promotes healthy, clear skin, which is, it seems very superficial, but it's a benefit, right? So I want to share it, right? So it's going to help with your skin, whether it's in terms of clearing your skin, but also for the elasticity, it's just going to help with the overall beautiful skin, all right? And who doesn't want that? Now, benefits, one of the other benefits, number 6, is it's going to help with weight management and digestion. So we talked a lot about eating, obviously, these plant-based rich foods, the water, the fiber, all of that is going to help with elimination, the elimination phase. And so that will actually help with reducing your weight and also helping with digestion. A lot of people struggle with digestive issues. And, the one thing that can help, or there are so many things that can help, but one thing I always tell folks is to eating a high fiber diet and enjoying water will help with your digestive system. Just if it's a basic issue, right? That will help. Sometimes if the person can do an intermittent fasting, which I'm not recommending here today, but if you're able, I do it from time to time where I don't eat. Like last night I ate at, I think it was 7:00, and I haven't eaten since. I've just been drinking my water, and it's a habit for me now, and it helps me. I'm talking to you all and I have a lot of energy, even though I haven't eaten anything. All right. And so I feel that if we were to incorporate some intermittent fast, some people would break their intermittent fast at 12 p.m., which would be good. That's a great intermittent fast. If you ate like 6 p.m. the night before, you can break it at 12 the next day, and that's a good amount of time. If you have no health concerns, that's definitely a great idea, great suggestion as well to help with detoxing the body, and that helps with digestion as well. But this is when we're talking about weight management and digestion, these are some of the things that I suggest. And the final one here, which I've pretty much touched on already, but I'll just say it again, is reducing inflammation. Having inflammation in the body causes all these different illnesses. And so our goal is to reduce inflammation in the body, because then we will be living longer, healthier lives as a result of, not having to deal with this buildup of inflammation within our bodies. All right. And so I'm going to stop it there. That is my last slide. I'm going to stop sharing and now open the room up for questions that you might have about anything that I've said so far, or outside of what I've said so far.
Hi, you mentioned dates, as a fruit to eat, and I always was under the impression that dates are very sugary.
Yeah, that's a natural form of sugar. So if you are going to have sugar, that would be the one that I would recommend using to make desserts and things like that. I don't recommend sitting down and eating 6 dates by any stretch. But a date, like even having 1 date a day, is, if that's your sugar for the day, that's not bad. Because again, remember the dates, and I'm referring to the Majol dates specifically. That's the one that I always use, and there are different types that are good. But if you're thinking about it, it's a whole food, so it's not broken down, right? And so that's why when we talk about eating a whole food plant-based diet, the benefit of it is because it's in its whole form. It hasn't been broken down like the brown sugar or the white sugar or even the honey. Right. So that's my sugar of choice that I use.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking that question. Any more questions? I left the 20 minutes. Actually, I stopped about a minute early, but we have 20 minutes for us to talk to each other. So you can ask me questions.
What, may I also ask you about water?
Yes.
I find a lot of my friends also feel that it's a real, how can I put it? You really have to think about drinking water.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you had any suggestions. I mean, add a little lemon or add a little whatever we can add, because water, when you think about it, it's very bland. I mean, it doesn't have much flavor going for it.
Yeah.
And it's just difficult to always, unless And they say, well, when you're ready to drink, you're probably too thirsty or dehydrated, or, it's has to be a pretty
Yeah.
hot day for me to say, oh, I need a glass of water,
Yeah. Yeah. And
So,
especially in the winter months, right? Because
right,
winter, we're like, I didn't drink any water today. You could go through the
yeah,
whole day and not have
right.
had any water. So yeah, you definitely touched on it, right? So enjoying lemon, I have a habit now of when I first wake up every morning, I have warm water with lemon in it. That's my go-to. What does that do? That's another form of detoxing the body. That's my first 2 glasses. So this again is 16 ounces. So I have 2 glasses. So this is basically 1 glass, but it's considered two. So I have one of those just to start. And then I will be honest with you, I have fallen in love with water. Um, so I don't have soda in my house. I don't have juice. I don't keep any of those things. The only thing that you'll find is coconut water outside of water.
Mhm.
So I've trained myself to drink water on a daily basis and to love the taste of water. However, lemon is one great thing to add. Mint leaves, you can
Me too.
literally have like a pitcher, right? Have a nice pitcher of, or even one of those crafts. And you can make your water for the day. You can put strawberries in there, blueberries, right? You can just make it whatever you like, fresh fruits. And that will infuse if you leave it for a little bit, especially with the mint and cucumbers. I love the mint and cucumber combination with a squeeze of lemon. That's excellent. Because what that's doing too is giving just a little bit more, helping more with detoxification as well, and the flavor.
Flavor, right.
So, and then what I also do is I drink a lot of tea. So herbal teas, warm, because the body likes warm. It doesn't like cold, right? It loves warm. So drinking teas, if you like teas, that's one of the things I recommend without sugar and without caffeine. Okay. So that could be your turmeric tea, your ginger teas. Those are great teas and great options, but it's a lot harder in the winter. So I recommend teas, and I highly recommend flavoring flavoring the water.
It's interesting that it's interesting that you mentioned about warm rather than cold, because I noticed that in this country everything is ice, 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 and we had a doctor many, many moons ago that said that's a shock to your body. To be putting something so ice cold, into your body, and inside. As long as we're alive, pretty much it's warm in there. It doesn't really want a shocking thing of ice, And especially when you go to a restaurant, that's the way they save money. They give you ice instead of whatever the drink you ordered.
Yeah, I know. I always either say, hold the ice, and they look at me like, oh, you're trying to get more juice. And I'm like, no, first of all, I don't even drink juice. So if I'm going to drink it, I want all of it. And if I want water, the restaurant is usually already cold. Right? So I'm already sitting there freezing, and now you're giving me ice water. So I generally reject the ice, which we have the option to just say, I'm sorry, hold the ice. I'll pass on the ice, because it does that. When you made a point, and the doctor, whichever doctor said that is correct. Having that ice water in our system and eating ice, even that stuff inhibits your digestion. It stops your digestion from really going the way that it should go. Right. And so we want to help our digestive system, and warm water facilitates the flow. Right. And that's what we're looking for, is easy flow through our system. Right. Yeah.
In fact, after a meal, my husband always used to say, you've got to have some hot tea, wash the meal down, have some hot tea.
Yeah,
so we always had a pitcher of hot tea.
Yeah, I think definitely that's a great suggestion. My only caution there is a type of tea that you're having, right? Some teas can actually prevent the digestion of and the retention of the minerals and vitamins that you just ate. So, just warm water alone is the safest way. And then things like ginger helps with digestion. So those would be the types of teas that you would have after dinner, right? But there are some teas that will actually prevent the absorption of the, but that's a great idea. Your husband is totally right. Drinking something warm after dinner. It's something that I do every night, but I do it, as I said just before, I use warm water, just plain warm water, or I'll have a bit of ginger in my water, powdered ginger or fresh ginger slices. So yeah. Wonderful. We're having such a great conversation, Alma. I'm like, is anybody else here?
Yeah, I want to go back to
Who else is
the,
here? Are you guys just listening in?
yeah, I want to go back to the water thing.
Yes.
We're a lot older than you at,
Yes.
at RSS. And as you age, you don't know, you're not as your body is not as sensitive to the intake of any fluid, but especially water. So
Right.
if you're over 40, it starts very early, actually. You have to make it a habit. So much of what we do is a habit. And so if you wait around to get thirsty as you get older, you're really in trouble.
Yeah.
You really need to make it a habit early enough that you're just going to drink water. You'll find a way. The more you drink, the more you do anything, the more it is accepted by your system. Even the garbage people eat, unfortunately, becomes more accepted to their system because they do it all the time.
Right. Right.
So
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you just have to make up your mind that, and if you leave it around, if you see it, you'll drink it. If you have to go and get it and make a big deal about it, it's like anything else, right? If the mop is there in the kitchen, I'm going to mop immediately after I'm finished cooking. If I have to go to the closet and bring out the pail and bring out the mop, well, let it go to tomorrow morning,
That's right. Yeah. I love what you're saying. This is all great. And I love that because we're talking about habit forming, behavior changing somewhat as you're having this conversation. It's really about behavior change and adjusting. I love the idea of having the mop in the kitchen. I do have my exercise clothes. Like, I don't like to exercise really. I like to go for runs. And so now the weather is getting
anybody really likes it. I don't believe people that tell me that they love it. But you do feel better, if that's liking it, okay. But once you start doing, it's one of the good things that have come out of the whole COVID mess with the Zoom, which sometimes I'm ready to shoot my computer. But, your access, as we get older, it's harder to get to the gym. It's harder to make the trip to do stuff. And, you try and get everything together and you don't have the time to just add another hour out, But it really helps to do it. There's no question. And these people that exercise to lose weight are nuts because exercise leads to the creation of muscle. Muscle weighs more than fat. So you're gonna lose weight and not even know you lost the weight. Just
for some people. Yeah, for some people.
It's really good to exercise because it'll keep you alive. Yes. The biggest problem older people have is not moving enough. You want to call it exercise, you want to call it a walk, you want to call it house cleaning. I don't, but the more you move, the healthier you're going to be. Your body is going to just respond to it.
Yeah. Yeah. You've heard the saying, body in motion stays in motion, right?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. So if you're in motion and you're staying in you're not going to then, it's going to be a lot easier for you to stick around basically. But yeah, I think, making the habits, setting yourself up for success is what I call it. So you're setting yourself up with that pitcher of water so you can see it. As you said, Helene, if you see it, you'll do it. So having a pitcher, setting it up in the morning, every morning, I have a habit, a bunch of little different habits. If you were to sit down and think, what do I do every day when I wake up? What's the first thing I do? What's the second, third, fourth? We all tend to have these typical habits. I get up, brush my teeth, go downstairs. Okay, I'm making sure I put away the dishes that I washed from the night before. Right. I have my little steps that I'm doing, right? And so in that, I have making tea right? So I have these things that I'm doing. And so when we can basically, even if we don't write it down, just put it in. I tell people to anchor it. It's called anchoring. Add it to something you're already doing. So if you're already getting up every morning and you're already, let's see, you're writing in your journal, whatever, right? Start putting it and say, I'm going to go to the gym or I'm going to go for a walk after I journal, right? And that thing that you're already doing, once you start to do that new thing, it's almost like, okay, after I journal, I go for a run. After I journal, I go for a walk. After I journal, it's sort of like going to remain. And that's how I was able to build And it's a phenomenon that, I forgot the name of the fog, I forgot his first name, but he came up with this idea that if you anchor to something you're already doing really well, that you'll be able to consistently do it. And so I anchor my runs after I finish, cleaning up downstairs, putting away the dishes and having a cup of tea. I put on my outfit and I'm hitting the pavement. Now, I love to run. I actually love it because for me, when I'm running, I'm praying. I'm also seeing nature. I'm also breathing. I'm inhaling, right? So it's the same if you go for a walk. You're seeing nature. It's helping with your mental health. And I tell people, I don't run because I'm, I want to be healthy, but I really run because of my mental health. Right? We're releasing endorphins in our bodies when we move. And the endorphins are these hormones that our bodies need so we can feel good. They call them feel-good hormones. And so when you exercise, when you move in any way, like Helene said, anything, whatever it is, when I clean my house, my entire house, on a Friday or whatever, I'm done. I don't work out on those days because it's a lot of work. I have to clean and mop and vacuum and wipe and, so you figure out whatever works for you and, set yourself up for success, have that picture in the morning, set it there. And then I, again, just will throw this back out every hour, set an alarm if you have to in the beginning, where every hour on the hour, you're, getting your glass and you try to have it because again, you're going to be going to the bathroom a lot. It's just what it is. I've just accepted it. I'm going to the bathroom but it's for a set period of time. And after 6 p.m., 7 p.m., maybe I'll have a half a glass or I'll have my tea and that's it for the night. Right. But you're getting that in and that's again, flushing your system, right? The goal of what we want to see in our urine is clear, somewhat clear. Yeah. If it's yellow, then it's, you need to drink more water. And that means that your urine, your kidney's having a hard time as well, right? You want your kidney because your kidney is the one that's basically getting the stuff out, helping with getting some of the stuff out of your body as well. All right. So that's another tip as well. Thank you, Helene. Thank you, Alma. Any more thoughts? Any more questions? Alma, if you have any, Helene, if you have any, and Rini, you're here. So any questions, comments?
Well, you were talking about exercising. Well, I know you've heard a lot about before COVID. I went twice a week religiously to my exercise class, down the subway steps, up the steps to the, where we had our class, the studio. And I think I've got, you're home for 2-3 years, it's hard to get motivated. I mean, now it's colder. When the weather was a little milder, I did go for a walk. I mean, it wasn't miles and miles, but I find that I've gotten a little bit, I still do go, I walk to the bank, I walk to the post office, 7 blocks down, 7 blocks back. So you got 14 blocks there, but I'm not jogging. I'm just walking,
Which
so
is
like you
good.
say, it's moving. I do try to keep moving, but I'm just saying that, the 3 years I have definitely put a few pounds on, and I haven't changed my diet. But
you're not the only one. Trust me, Alma, you're literally saying what I've been hearing from a lot of folks, right? And
it's a big change, it's a big change.
Yeah. And you have to be, I always tell people to do this, hug yourself, love yourself, right? That's like, the thing. You have to really be gentle with yourself because we went through something that was so awful. A lot of people lost loved ones. A lot of people have been mourning. A lot of people have, because the thing about it is, I'm a life coach for trauma and mental health. I'm also certified in mental health first aid. So I have a little knowledge about trauma and a little knowledge about mental health. And so when we are inside, when we're indoors and we don't get to see people and we don't get to hug and we don't get to sit at dinner tables with family members or, just go visit someone that we used to visit, like you said, going up and down the subway stairs and going to class, that was community. You had a community, you're connected. And so all of that brings on a whole host of problems that we were just not prepared for. And so in a way, we're digging ourselves out. In the meantime, we have to be gentle with ourselves. And it may take another 2 years or 3 years, but you know what? It's a process. And if you just one day at a time, one small, simple thing, the next day, another small, simple thing, before you know it, you have an accomplishment that you're like, wow, look at that. I did that. Right. You know, I know a lot of people are looking back at the year. I certainly have been doing that. What have I accomplished this year? What did I do? What did I get done? And there's so much things I didn't get done. And guess what? I'm not beating myself up.
Right.
I'm being gentle with myself because I did accomplish some things. There's a lot of things that I did accomplish. So I'm focusing on the positive, focusing on what I did get done. A lot of us, at one point, I was telling my friends and family, I was like, just stay alive. That's all you got to do. Stay alive right now. Can we just, yeah. And that was like the requirement for a very long time. Just, can we just all just stay alive? You know?
Right.
And so now it's a matter of like, okay, we're coming out of it, and it's, you know, we're still hearing rumors of things, but be gentle with yourself, take your time, work at a pace that works for you, because you don't want to then become stressed out either, right? And so, yeah, increasing our movement is important, and that would help you as well if you wanted to lose those additional pounds that you gain, but do it in a way that works for you, and just, you know, take your time, because time will help. And continue to stay in community, because community helps. Coming to groups like these, it does
Absolutely.
help. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Alma.
Well, I hope you come back, because I think we're learning a lot from you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. I enjoy these groups. I enjoy sharing. You know, I try to bring everything I have in my noggin. One of my things that I do every year is I take one course every year. I have a master's in nutrition, but I try to broaden my spectrum so that I can be a bigger benefit to the group of people that I serve in whichever place that I'm serving. I want to bring more knowledge to the table, right? I'm not a doctor yet, but but you know, I'm trying to bring as much as I can to the table so I can talk about different topics, especially because nutrition and mental health connects. And so that's why I have 3 different certifications in mental health, because I wanted to be sure to connect. I saw the intersection between mental health and nutrition. And so I've gone out and done nutritional psychology. I've done the mental health certification, and I've done the trauma certification. So I can bring that to the table to these
It's
groups.
a funny thing, Deborah, that you mentioned mental health and nutritional values, because it does go together. A lot of people don't understand that a lot of your mental disorders come from nutrition, you know, bad nutritional values. And that's the whole thing about it. So a lot of doctors I don't even think the doctors even notice that themselves. A lot of your, you know, general practitioners, I don't even think they even go into that either. So when they do the physical exam and look at the different neurotransmitters and see which one is up and which one is down, and if they, you know, not in order of itself, it's just largely nutrition. Simple as that.
Yes.
So once they find that out, they can get a nutrition like you, a nutritionist like you, to go over the nutrition that these people, the nutritional intake that these people are taking, and come up with a plan or a diet that will help out with that mental disorder.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's the course. One of the courses that I did, and a couple of them, they were actually doctors in my class, because they wanted to get this knowledge, the nutritional psychologist certification. They wanted to now connect the nutrition and, you know, the fact that mental health is connected. So Rini, you're 100% right. We operate with our body's function with the hormones and the neurotransmitters, right? We're chemical, we're biochemistry.
Right, we're all chemicals, that's right.
Yeah, so if we're not addressing it from that perspective, and we're just talking about it from, oh, you know, let's take this medicine. The medicine is mimicking what the nutrients will do. So whatever.
Yes, absolutely. It only lays a dormant. Well, you really actually need to get rid of it, or even balance it out by a healthy nutritional diet. I took psychology. I have a BA degree in psychology myself.
Oh, you gotta
I took
go
away
ahead.
from my master's. So that's the reason why I know so much about the nutritional value go along with the mental disorders. So that's really cool. That's the whole thing. So a lot of people don't understand that. So you're taking medication, which you don't really need the medication. All you need to do is a better nutritional value inside your system to balance out the neurotransmitters. Because you have dopamine, you have serotonin, and a lot of the times your diet plays an important role in balancing out those neurotransmitters.
Yeah, I call it DOSE. So dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Right, and the serotonin is from the sun. The dopamine, a lot of these things we get from just even a hug, right? Some of them you get from a hug. Some of them use endorphins, like when you exercise. And so it's getting a healthy dose, dopamine, dopamine, oxytocin,
it's serotonin.
serotonin and endorphins. These are things that
Endorphins,
we can get from the habits that we talked about, the exercising, the eating, right?
habits.
All of
That's
these
right.
different things will
Absolutely.
actually help us to function, and will give us the energy that we need too, so we can bounce around with our grandkids. And I don't have any
And then,
grandkids.
you have to look at genetics too.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to look at genetics. Sometimes you can go by, you can actually get a nutritionist like yourself to balance out the diet. And sometimes that might not help. So they have to resort to medication if they have to. And which which I think a doctor, especially a psychiatrist, because those are the ones that order these different tests, should look at these things and see if they can avoid giving these patients medications, because largely the medications with the side effects might help one problem, but escalate another problem.
Yeah.
See, it might help in one aspect of mental disorder, like say, for instance, bipolar disorder. Then you might end up taking a medication for that, and then you end up with some other kind of depression. So it's, really, doctors should look into it to try to minimize or even eradicate using medication if it's at all possible.
Yeah, and one point I'll make as you're saying that is that when you're ingesting the medication, your organs have to deal with the medication.
Yeah.
So you find, and especially as you're aging, our organs are, as we're aging, they're not as they were when they were younger, right? So you have to keep protecting your organs as you're aging. And so when we're having, hi.
I thought this started at 2 and it started at 1.
I was looking for you too. It's okay. We're wrapping up. We're wrapping up. It's good to see you though, Roberta. We're pretty much at the end. I was just sharing some last minute tips.
So
is this recorded?
2 p.m.
We are what we eat, right?
We are what we eat, and food is
right.
medicine, which is a part of what we talk about at RSS. Is food is medicine. That's our motto. Is we want people to realize that. And what we were talking about, Roberta, before you came in, Renee made some really great points about the connection between. We were talking about the connection between food and psychology. So we were sharing a little bit around that, and that's where you kind of jumped in. But we talked about detoxification. I'm going to share the slides, and also I think it's being recorded. But yeah, there is really a connection, and we have to really, be able to address it from the food perspective. And I would say, one thing I would say is that if the doctors start with the food, then sometimes they don't have to get to the medication, right? If they start to treat the person first with food and then see how it goes. But a lot of doctors are not in that position because they just don't have the knowledge. They don't have, I've said it before, most doctors only have 8 hours of nutrition information. That's all they were taught in their entire, years of studies. And so we give them a pass, but also we can find a doctor that actually may want to, treat us with that, in that way, may, even a second opinion, just to say, hey, I need a doctor that may want to focus a little bit more on nutrition. And I will tell you this, in all the classes that I'm taking or have taken or been a part of, I've seen a lot of doctors in these classes. So a lot of doctors are trying to get up on nutrition, on psychology, on trying to connect to help their clients and their patients, Until then, though, guess what? You're responsible for your health, right? You are. And so when you're out there and you're shopping in the supermarkets, that's where it starts. That's like a simple place to start, where you're reading the labels, or you're choosing not to buy labeled food, and you're just focusing a lot more on just eating those fresh fruits and vegetables, So, and it's not.
What about our metabolism? When our metabolism changes, when you come of a certain age and we just don't have that metabolism going anymore. So it's really difficult to keep your weight the way you want it when you're not burning things up the way you used to.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It definitely slows down. And that's why when in our presentation earlier, we talked about increased energy. That increased energy is going to come from a better blood flow. And the better blood flow comes from the foods we're eating, right? Foods that slow our blood flow and causes us to be lethargic and more tired, and add more weight are the processed foods, or, and overeating, which I don't think a lot of us here do, but these are some of the things that are causing the issue, right? Is all of these different factors. And then again, like we said before, not moving, right? Body not being in motion. right? So it's like a sort of a holistic thing that we have to look at. And so that list that I provided earlier with the 6 things, you know, the exercise, the sleeping good, the, you know, the eating well, the minimizing certain foods from our diets, all of those things, it sort of comes all together, you know. And in good mental health, you know, having good community, having good friends, eliminating people who are not eliminate, but, you know, maybe less time with those people. Less time with those people who are causing you a lot of grief and stress. Just don't pick up those calls that are gonna have you on the phone for 3 hours and depress you when you're done. You know, people will call and talk to you and dump everything on you. And it's like, who do you go to get to release your stress, right? So sometimes it's just setting boundaries as well, right? Establishing good, healthy boundaries in your life. That I tend to do for myself, and I practice what I'm telling you all, right? We're definitely a different age group, but I practice what I'm telling you. And I have that mindset of, you know, as I'm speaking to you all, I'm trying to also keep in mind your age, but also recognize that, you know, it's possible. I don't think that a person who's your age can't do certain things, because I believe if you want to, you will.
True.
Right? Can you do it the same level? Maybe not, but that's okay. You can still push and do the amount that you, like I was telling Alma before, be gentle with yourself, hug yourself. If it's one tiny little thing and you did it, give yourself credit for it, because it counts, right? It counts, right?
We should hug now. We can all hug.
Hug yourselves, right?
And I'll send it to you.
Oh, I will receive it. It's a form of it's basically somatics, right? And even if you were to do the tapping, I don't know if you guys probably have that. You tap yourself, right? Stuff like that even helps as well with, you know, anxiety. And so it just helps you to bring yourself to center. And of course, the breathing, which you guys probably know a lot about, breathing and all of that, right? But I'm going to stop there. Margie,